Welcome to the Bookers Alliance podcast, where we hold the pencil and the pencil is power. Coming at you right now is your host, Marky Mark, along with the man, the myth, the legend, Frank Donaldson. Join us as we discuss the ever-changing landscape of professional wrestling. So hang on tight, you jabronis, and enjoy the ride. Welcome in, everybody. Thank you for joining today's episode of the Bookers Alliance podcast. Come on inside the house, bring yourself up a ringside seat, get your popcorn, your soda, your whiskey, or in this case, your French brandy.
There you go. Get your VSOP.
Get everything you need, because our topic, is a lot that's happened. It's been
See, this is what happens when you go a month with no real activity, no action, even though we had way more PLEs and Saturday night's main events than we could handle.
Right.
There really hadn't been any significant developments up until now. But damn, when they develop, I mean, Lord, they develop like a 15-year-old girl going to high school, right? I mean, Lord, we break all the way out here.
We getting canceled now.
I mean, hey, that's just an analogy. And if you don't know what I'm saying, look it up.
We getting canceled. All right. Today's topic, though, is what's in a name? What's in a name? But before we get to our topic, got to kick it off with our sponsor. Got Ciroc VS Very Special VSOP French Brandy. Yep. Today.
Now, keep in mind, just because it's Ciroc, we got to remind all the listeners out there, no Diddy. But Brandy was a fine girl. Oh, I mean, hey, well, speaking of developed, we all watched Brandy develop. I mean, right in the same, because we met her when she was about 15, and she grew up.
Y'all better hang on tight.
Became Cinderella, then she disappeared, and I still know what you did last time. I mean,
y'all better hang on tight. So cheers to Brandy.
All right.
I do remember that one.
Yeah, I don't remember us not liking it. I wonder what happened. Maybe it was just a slow show day.
We just didn't get back around.
There you go. Yeah, it must have been a slow show day.
All right. Let's talk about some things that have been shaking up right now in the world of the WWE.
Holy hell, where are we going to start?
First things first, we got a kind of a bone to pick with is it WWE or should we say TKO?
I think we got the bone to pick with TKO, right? Because I think it's their fault that we're dealing with the nonsense that we got to deal with behind the scenes. So we're going to blame it on TKO. This isn't a WWE initiative. I think this came from a little bit higher up.
Yeah. So all of a sudden we in LA and the Money in the Bank and into a dome. We chilling, and all of a sudden we see the promo pop up for Mania 42. Las Vegas.
Wait, Las Vegas. Hold on. When we made our hotel reservations, like, I don't know what, 2 months ago or whatever in the case, where did we make those reservations for?
Nolans.
And why?
Because that's where The Rock said it was going to be.
Because they officially announced it,
correct.
Right? They gave us dates.
Absolutely.
They gave us the location.
What?
They told us the times.
What?
The Rock submitted it. He said he'd be there.
What?
And they told us, we need you. Here's your press passes. It's sent. What do our press passes say?
It says Nolans.
Yeah, and how much good is that going to do us next year on August? Well, I think it was the 8th, or I'm sorry, April 8th, when I think it was originally scheduled for.
Right.
Or the 10th or 11th, something like that.
And now we're in April 18th and 19th in Las Vegas. So good, you got to double down.
So we're...
What the hell?
700 miles further west. So what, 2-hour time change from that point, 700 miles difference. The hotels are non-transferable. Luckily, we didn't book our WrestleMania tickets, because had we booked the tickets, all hell would have broke loose. But I'm just saying, so contacts and talent relations over at WWE, you guys got our email, you got our contact information, so go ahead and send us the transfers over there. And for those hotel rooms, I just need you to send it to the Cash App. You know the Cash App, it's on your file. Go ahead and send it over there, because we don't do bank accounts, we don't do official documents. Cash App me, bro.
Unless we're hitting that Swiss bank account now.
I mean, well, we could talk about that. That's the LLC. But
Yeah,
that's where our PPP loan went. But we ain't gonna talk about that either. Yeah, because
we can't give away too much.
Because we ain't paying that back. So I mean, it's just gonna sit over there until we can get to a hold up. WrestleMania go international 1 year, and that'll be our year.
Correct.
Oh yeah.
So look,
well, not only are we getting canceled, but now we're getting audited.
We're getting audited.
What a day.
So look, you're gonna come out and change it to Vegas. Why? What's the change? Well, so as the crow flies and the story goes, the change is all in the green. It's in the money.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So what TKO was singing as they were changing it was money, 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 money. Yeah, I don't think they had any remorse or care for our hotel reservations.
Never have I ever seen a WrestleMania at the same location 2 years in a row.
I've seen it. WrestleMania 4, WrestleMania 5 in Atlantic City at Trump Plaza.
Okay.
You weren't alive then. You're a young guy. You're a kid.
What years was those?
89 and 90. 88 and 89.
I was alive, but I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah,
to stats
you weren't going. See, no. You weren't. See, I was in attendance. I was there. I was at every WrestleMania. No, I'm green shirt guy.
You're a green shirt guy.
I'm just breaking that news to you guys now in case you didn't know. So let's see if that gets us some more followers.
But yeah, so we're going back to Vegas for 42. Look. Cool. Okay.
I mean, we had a hell of a time in Vegas this year. So
it was good. It took all
my
money.
I was gonna say, as far as my vacation planning going, I'm not against it. As far as my income's going,
it took all my money.
Yeah, we're gonna need some tighter sponsors before we go next year. So, sponsors, I need you guys to send in your information or whatnot. We reach out. Our people will reach out to your people. We need some heavy sponsorship to get back to Vegas. Because hell.
What I really didn't like, though, I didn't like the whole daytime aspect of it.
Yeah.
It takes away from the mystique.
Yeah, because WrestleMania, I mean, the main event, John Cena was leaving as the world champion, and it was, 8?
Yeah.
I was like, well, time for dinner. And I mean, normally it's time for Betty Bye after the John Cena, especially after the long-ass, press conference and all that. By the time the press conference was done, all I heard people was saying was, look, the sun's going down. And I'm like, wait, what? What's happening? And right after I heard that, I heard a lot of people say, Marky Mark included, well, off to the strip club. And I'm like, wait, what? What are we doing here?
Look, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, bro.
Oh, yeah, I guess that is a thing, isn't it? Oh, well, I mean, I'm sorry, but
dang,
you know what I'm saying.
Sorry, Miss Marky Mark.
I just meant the sun was going down. Sometimes the sun sets.
Yeah, the sun going down on me, like Elton John said.
Yeah. Speaking of going down, never mind. I digress. We move on.
I set them up. You knock them out.
We'll move on.
Move it on.
Take a drink.
All right, we got to talk about L.A. We got to talk about Money in the Bank. A lot of things happening in L.A. right now.
L.A. night?
Yeah, him too.
That didn't happen in L.A. But
but look, L.A., prayers are with you. Do your thing out there. Settle it down. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. They got out of Dodge right in time. I mean, hell.
Yeah. WWE said up skating.
Yeah, I was like, hey, let's go out there. I got some shit to say. And you were like, nope, time to go home. I'm like, all right, well, producer sent the plane ticket. They're like, yeah, you guys are leaving Saturday night.
Since we're getting canceled, all them AAA guys said, I'm going.
I mean, yeah, they definitely took off. They got out of Dodge real quick. Immediately, I mean, I think they swam home, but we're not going to talk about nobody swimming. But everybody, let's just say when we got to the airport was packed.
All right, we got to talk about Money in the Bank winners. Kicked off with the women's Money in the Bank match. Nobody had really any clue which way this thing was going to shake out. Could have been any of them. A lot of people thought it was going to be Rhea, but then we all were like,
we never said Rhea. We knew better than that. I personally hoped for Alexa Bliss, but we're not going to talk about why.
So Naomi is your 2025 Money in the Bank winner, and we agreed on the consensus that was the right decision.
Yeah.
That's a good one, because if anybody has paid some dues and deserves to get that, especially with current storyline and the way she's changed
she's probably
up her
doing
character.
her best work right now.
Absolutely.
Throughout her whole career. So yeah, definitely justified in that.
Yep. Good match, great spots. Booker T is still recovering from the Stephanie Vaquer and Rhea Ripley Devil's Kiss on the ladder.
The duel
Devil's Kiss. Yeah. So he's still recovering somewhere.
Yeah, I mean,
as the legend goes, he spent 3 days going,
I ain't mad at him. I mean, that didn't inspire anybody.
So congratulations to Naomi. And then for the men's Money in the Bank, we all kind of knew who was going to come out of this one.
So neither one was predictable, right? They went with true established stars in both the men's and the women's Money in the Bank. They didn't take any chances. They weren't swinging for the fences. They were like, look, we got strict storylines and we're going to stick to them. And they did. I can't fault them for it, though, because you also got to give it to Seth with his new group, his new faction forming. He's kind of at the top of his game right now. You know, he's bringing back some of the old hits. You know, forming factions, making them relevant. He's elevating guys like Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker.
So I almost had it. I almost called Bronson Reed, you know, getting up that ladder, but he didn't go up the ladder. We were kind of there. I
told you long before that happened that there was no chance he was going up no ladder after he just got his ankles refused back from trying to climb something in
Frank
November.
Said Vince's music, no chance in hell.
Oh, absolutely not. They told him lift the ladder, stand the ladder up, then get the hell out of Dodge.
Solo's faction showed up, but then quickly dissolved.
Yeah, they broke up.
Yeah,
they
Jacob.
broke up like Trump and Elon over the weekend. Yeah, they looked at each other, and all of a sudden, all hell broke loose, and then they left apart.
Jacob looked at Solo and said, "I hate you, Solo."
Yeah, he did, and then Solo looked at Jacob and said, "Epstein files," and then all of a sudden, the whole match
was
ended.
over.
So, yep.
So Jacob Fatu looks to be striking out on his own, going babyface. Which, you know, Fatu being babyface, that's going to be a loose term when it comes to babyface. Because, you know, the Samoan werewolf, he ain't too much of a babyface.
But he's going to be able renegade. To fight Solo and Jeff and JC. Now I wanted to call him Jeff Cobb. JC Mateo, he's going to be able to fight them for a few months.
What's in the name?
Yep,
what's in the name?
We're getting there. It was time. We're getting there.
So Seth walking out. Slow down.
As Jackie Chan said in Rush Hour 3, put on a dirty movie. But slow down. Yeah, slow down, baby.
And so with Seth Rollins winning the Money in the Bank, he's obviously establishing himself as the next, you know, champion, whether it be WWE champion or World Heavyweight champion. We'll have to see which belt he decides to eventually set his eyes on because he's looked at both.
Champion. Oh, we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there too.
Holy hell.
But hey, we will get to new champion, Becky Lynch, the new women's intercontinental champion. That happened at Money in the Bank.
I mean, and I get it. You know, you got your, again, established superstars, right? Things were getting hectic. We were trying a few things. Not everything was hitting. Not everything was, you know, over the moon. So at some point you have to look back and say, okay, maybe we need to reset. So you start putting some of your titles on your established superstars. Then you start getting them into established feuds with other established superstars. Then you start bringing in some of your younger talent and incorporating them into proven formula, right?
Right.
We divvied away from it a little bit at WrestleMania, and not everything was good as gold. So sometimes you have to go back to what worked to get yourself reset. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, Becky, she's working towards that whole Grand Slam. We kind of talked about that a little bit.
She's the closest one now.
She's the closest one, unless Charlotte sniffs out a title.
Well, yeah, if she finds out that the IC or the U.S. title exists, then all of a sudden, you know, she'll probably win both at the same time. Why not?
Zelina Vega better watch out.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Because, I mean, why not? Why wouldn't she win both titles at the same time?
Right. But speaking of Becky Lynch, kind of skipping ahead just a little bit, but talking about it now since it's in the story, we had a return for Becky Lynch on Monday Night Raw. That was Bayley.
Oh, yeah. See, it's established superstars.
Bayley
right?
showing back up. Looks to be, could we get into maybe a triple threat match for the IC belt on Revolution 2?
I can see that.
That
actually might hold off till SummerSlam. We might just get a one-on-one. There's a lot of different angles they could go, but that's a good thing, right? The more possibilities, the better the storytelling.
Yep. And then you had the main event of the evening. You had John Cena, Mr. You Can't Never Seen 17. You Can't See Me, the real world champion.
Yep. That's who we had.
You had John, and then you had Logan Paul, and then you had Cody and Jay.
The world heavyweight champion, Jey Uso.
Jey Uso. Right?
Yeah, and we got to say that because it's probably the last time we'll
get to
say it again. Yeah. But I digress.
So in this match, back and forth, kind of a sluggish match, you know, with them tag teaming and kind of holding Jay back. But then the last 10 minutes, everything came out of the woodworks as far as...
That's when they woke up.
Yeah, they woke up. It was going, and again, it was good. And then all of a sudden, a hooded man jumping in the ring with a black hoodie on. Nobody knew who it was. And then it was a
I'm just
man.
glad he didn't have iced tea and Skittles in his hand when it happened. Because, I mean, if that had happened, then somebody might have jumped out of the crowd, took.
But we saw a man we ain't seen in 17 years.
Yeah, we've been a long time.
Been a long time since we've seen this man. We're talking about Ron Killings.
Yeah, Ron Killings. The truth.
The truth.
Ron, the truth.
The
Killings.
truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
The truth will set you free.
Set you free. And that man is set free. Ron Killings, our truth, shows back up, clocks Cena with a belt, allowing the American Nightmare to get a pin on the never seen 17 champ.
They should have gave that pinfall to Jay, right? I mean, considering what was
coming.
Yeah, they probably should have let him get that W. So, I mean, we could have sent him out on a good note, but why not?
That's a little foreshadowing, though.
Yeah. Well, they had to get Truth over. You don't want to overshadow Truth's return with a Jay win,
But, dude, you want to talk about pop of the night. Truth.
Oh, yeah.
Truth pulling off that hoodie and that mask and then showing up. Everybody popped. Everybody was great. I popped. That was pop. I popped like pop like popcorn. Popped so hard.
That was an exciting moment. I mean, again, it shows the fans clamor enough and they get what they want, right?
Or as Triple H says, you like the show? It's all part of the show.
Sure. Hey, that is, absolutely. Or as I would say, Triple H listened to our show and realized, oh, hell, we're in trouble.
Correct, because your boys called that spot.
Oh, so, I mean, we were on point all weekend.
We called that spot.
We pretty much mapped out this whole PLE that they're going to say, oh, no, this was all creative. Yeah, all creative, right? Creative go ahead and thank us now by saying we're saving you guys a lot of trouble and effort because y'all just listen to the show like, hey, take a little bit of this, take a little bit of that, sprinkle a little something on top of it, then y'all call it fresh.
Yep.
Why not?
Or listen to what Marky Mark has to say and then go completely the opposite direction.
I mean, then they listen to me because for whatever reason, we always disagree lately.
Correct.
We went probably like a year and a half with never disagreeing. And then everybody was like, turn us off. So all of a sudden now we disagree on everything. Listeners coming in droves. Thanks, you guys.
So Ron Killings did not stop, though, at Money in the Bank. He pops back up on Monday Night Raw with a passionate promo and honestly got me as the wrestling fan. And because our truth, we've been look, I love history and our profession of love for our truth and this whole, past year of episodes that we've been doing. Look, y'all know we're huge our truth fans.
Oh yeah. We definitely sip for our people. I mean, we ain't mad about it.
And for our truth to be gone, that was heartbreaking. Hated the fact that it was going to happen, but look, I mean, he would have landed on his feet. He would have went somewhere else. It'd have been all fine and dandy. But all of a sudden, when he showed back up Money in the Bank and then Monday Night Raw, he gets on top of that announce table. He talks his talk, tells his truth, told us, don't let nobody tell y'all that y'all don't matter.
Yeah, he did all that, but then he made a statement.
He
talked his talk, but afterwards he made a statement. No words were needed.
That boy cut them dreads.
He killed the R-Truth character. He ended R-Truth character. Like he said, Ron Killings is in the driver's seat now.
Yep.
And he on a ride.
And that y'all, look, there are moments in time as wrestling fans where you look at a character and you go, that stick's getting boring. Mm-hmm. Like that stick is, you need to change. Even Taker. Look at all the iterations of the Undertaker that there's.
You have to. I mean,
have to look at the recent change with John with Cena.
Yeah.
I mean, look, going on record in the past, I've always said I was never a huge Cena fan. Ever since this switch, I'm so intrigued by the work that he's doing.
I mean, let's talk. If we gonna do it, let's talk about it. What about Chris Jericho? Right?
Correct.
There's barely anything I got left to talk about AEW. I mean, you see, they ain't nowhere on this show. They may come up later, but it's gonna be in a passive reference, only because of the person that we're gonna be talking about. But I mean, in the midst of that, Chris Jericho changes his character every couple years, regardless.
Yep.
He could be at the top of his game, but if he steps away for a little bit, he comes back with a fresh character because he wants to be relevant. And let's be honest, Truth hadn't been a relevant on-camera presence in years. He's been the comedy stick, which we love. I mean, what he's been doing has been great, but it doesn't advance him any. It doesn't allow him to do any storytelling. It doesn't allow him to get in the mix. What he's doing now puts him in the mix. It gets him in the conversation of, we can build around this guy. We can create a story here. We could do something.
A lot of people don't remember the killer of Ron the Truth Killings. They don't remember the assassin that man could be. Now, granted, 20 years past, past that date.
Yeah. I mean,
but he can still go in the ring. He may not be able to put on 20, 25, 30-minute match.
Yeah.
That dude can still go in the ring. And when he goes, it ain't just going on the ring. It's the mic. It's the persona. It's, to hear tell from everybody that's behind the curtain, the morale in the locker room. Like, that dude is everything.
Yeah. He's definitely a locker room leader like no other, because he brings a different element to it than some of the others. He doesn't have to be that hard hand and that quote unquote badass, but he's one of those guys that you could look at and kind of rely on. Like, when shit's hitting the fan, when, when things are looking down, he could kind of walk you through it because he's been there for so long. And let's not be remiss. I mean, he's a former 2-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion.
Right.
As a black man, that's saying a lot, because there ain't a lot of those that have held that title. So
there's not. The
fact that he held it twice, he's got a place in wrestling history, and he needs to be honored for it. And I'm glad we can continue to see him on TV to do so.
But what's in a name? A name is everything. You go from R-Truth to Ron Killings. We've got a fresh new character to watch unfold. And he's going to take, if I had to bet, you're still going to get the whole... You may get the comedy vibe, but it's going to have a darker tone.
I wouldn't be surprised, and I mean, it's going to be wild to say it, because looking at the analogy, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him follow like a Doink the Clown route, where he's funny when he needs to be, but then when when that switch flips,
it's a different person.
Yeah, it's a completely different person, and he goes after you like no other, and you're like, oh my God, what are we dealing with here? And then afterwards, he might just laugh and wander off. Hey,
a lot of people are saying Ron Killings is going to be the one to take that title off Cena.
Hey, we could have some fun with this.
Yep.
There's a lot of fun we can have. There's a lot of different avenues we could go. There's fun to be had here.
Yep. So Ron Killings shows up Monday Night Raw, has his moment. Somebody did not have a great moment on Monday Night Raw, unfortunately. The Yeet Man, Jey Uso, lost to Gunther to make Gunther a 2-time World Heavyweight Champ, bringing Jey Uso's reign to an end of just shy over 50 days.
Yep. And so I disagree with some of that. I do think he had a great moment, because he had a great match, right? The match was
great.
It was, it was old school, but it was true to form, right?
And it was back and forth there at the end, and you really didn't know how it was going to wash out.
Exactly. And that's why I say it wasn't like, going into it with all the hurdles that Jay's had to jump over the last, say, 2 weeks, just per se, not including the whole title reign, but just the last 2 weeks, he's been busy as hell. And Gunther's pointed it out numerous times, like, you're running yourself thin. I'm sitting here laid back. I've wrestled one match since WrestleMania. You've wrestled 5 title defenses plus a few other off matches. You're running yourself ragged. You're not going to be ready. Okay, great. So it makes him a bit of an underdog, but he's the guy that beat Gunther. Well, True to form, it caught up with him. He ran himself ragged. At the end of the match, he just didn't have as much go as he needed. But off camera, after the match, he gave mad props to Gunther because they had a damn great match.
Right.
But the outcome was nowhere near what anybody that was in support of Jey Uso wanted, right? A month and a half title reign was not what we were looking for this guy, but that's what we got. So
now I will say that the title drop, it surprised me the way that it happened, but the title drop itself didn't surprise me, because I actually thought Seth was going to cash in on Jay.
I heard a lot of people say
early.
They thought
it was going to be early, right?
At around this time, yeah.
Right.
I've heard a lot of people say that.
So I wasn't surprised that he dropped the title, but I was surprised that Gunther was the one that took it. But I will say I saw a picture of Gunther on X right after the event, and that picture went hard. Dude is just sitting in his suit outside on a park bench, lighting a cigar. And I'm like, dude, if you're not the freaking second coming of Harley Race, I don't know what you are.
He's in that wheelhouse of old school wrestlers.
Goosebumps,
he stays
man.
In there. So now,
love it.
So obviously it was a shock to everybody, but I feel like when we did our crystal ball episode, I feel like I mentioned something about one Roman Reigns being inserted into that world heavyweight title picture, right?
You did.
And I also remember mentioning, I mean, it was kind of news then, but it hadn't been made official. I think now it's set to be made official that Goldberg was set to come back and finish his career out against Gunther.
And that's the reason for the title.
Yeah, I feel like that's why they had to get the title on him first, so there could be some stakes involved for Goldberg.
Yep.
And then we had to get it off of Jay one way or the other because we don't want to have a Roman Jay program going for the world title, right?
No, but we're swinging both being faces.
No, absolutely not. I mean, we've already done that program when they were heels, and it was what it was. You definitely don't want to do it when you're faces,
right?
But we're in SummerSlam swing now. I mean, after Money in the Bank, yeah, we got some Saturday Night's main event, we got some overseas nonsense. Let's be honest, we're all anticipating SummerSlam right now. 2 nights, Cardi B. What? How much bigger could it be? Right? The only thing they could do bigger to make that weekend any more important than it is now, get Travis Scott back in time and get him involved in whatever John Cena's doing at that event. That's all I ask.
Get this man.
That's all I
Somebody come get this
I'm just saying,
man.
That's all I ask.
Ain't nobody will see Travis Scott
back
spend
there.
8 hours wandering his ass.
I want to watch him swagger down to the ring while guys are just laying there and wait. I want to watch it.
So look, the only way that makes sense to me though is if Roman is the mystery man that is in this King of the Ring tournament.
Now you're talking. Now you're getting it.
Roman's never won King of the Ring, right?
Nope.
So I mean,
never been in it.
So Roman, mystery man goes on to, Saudi in order to get the King of the Ring, and then he, the King of the Ring gets the title shot at SummerSlam. That's the path.
Now you're picking up what I'm putting down. Now you see it.
That's the path. So we'll have to see what happens. But Jay, enjoyed your title run. I hope this doesn't knock you off the top of the mountain. I just hope it just means you decide to climb a higher mountain. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, that Intercontinental title mountain. You're going to start climbing that, or possibly head over to SmackDown, climb that mountain over there.
So we got to talk about something else real quick. Somebody has showed up in the NXT scene, has defected from I want to say defected. I don't know if that's real.
No, she escaped.
She escaped.
Yeah, escaped purgatory.
We are talking about Blake Monroe.
Now that's what I'm talking. I told you we would mention them one more time in this show, one way or another, and that's all we're gonna say about AEW company, whatever.
So Blake Monroe, aka Mariah May. So look, Mariah May, the glamour. So Mariah May, if you have not seen Mariah May or know who we're talking about,
this ain't the show for you, because we're about to talk about it a lot.
The only match that you need to go see that will explain to you who Mariah May is, or Blake Monroe, go watch her match with Toni Storm. That was called the Hollywood finale, the end match. Just go watch that match.
Yeah, y'all could go watch that match. I'm gonna rewatch that vignette they showed last night on NXT, the introduction of Blake Monroe. Because man, you want to talk about some good quality TV? That was some good quality TV.
So they stealing a little bit from Sabrina Carpenter. Cody Rhodes knows the Sabrina Carpenter very well, apparently, as he was talking to Brandy on his podcast. But stealing a little bit of Sabrina Carpenter's bit, but she's going to be this 1950s Hollywood type TV show actress persona.
She basically left with Toni Storm's gimmick.
I don't think it's going to be fully Toni Storm's gimmick, though.
Sounds like it.
Toni Storm is the more than the 1920s, 30s, 40s Hollywood actress. I think Blake Monroe is going to shoot for the 1950s, 60s TV star. Kind of like
stay in color,
kind of like Bewitched, something along those lines.
Yeah, if she can do the little nose twinkle, I'll watch. I'm down for that.
Look, this girl can go. She's not a ring technician by no means.
She ain't there for that.
But she is vicious and she's stunning on the camera.
Yeah, she's
easy on the eyes.
Absolutely.
But
got
dude,
my attention.
Somebody that is not afraid to go. Look, she was one of the very first. I don't want to say first, but the match she had with Toni, very bloody, very hardcore. She's willing to get in that ring and not really just protect anything. She just go.
Yeah. She does what she needs to do to get the match over.
She's not a Mick Foley.
No,
I mean she's not that.
God, no.
She's not that hardcore.
Yeah, Mick didn't look like that at all.
But she is vicious, killer on the mic.
Yeah.
Phenomenal on the mic.
Yeah.
But
And she knows her gimmick. I mean, she knows.
She does.
If let's be honest. You can call her whatever you want. She's essentially carrying over Mariah May to the WWE, right?
Right.
So she knows the gimmick. She's been in it for a couple years, and she's had high success at it. So she knows how to play in it. WWE, and especially Shawn Michaels, is going to be able to accentuate that beyond what anybody could comprehend in AEW, because Shawn Michaels understands that gimmick more than any other human being on this planet. Nobody has lived the gimmick of Heartbreak Kid more than Shawn Michaels. And if you call the Glamour essentially the female Heartbreak Kid, she's got the best coach she could ever have.
Yep.
I mean, if they work that way, if they play down that road, she's got unlimited potential.
Where do I see her shaking things up in NXT?
I know where I see her shaking things up at, but I digress.
Well, that's going back to that Vegas conversation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So let's
Mariah May I. All right. Oh, sorry.
You done gave her a whole new name.
Yep.
What's in a name?
Hey, that's what we do here. Apparently, new names are in fashion these days.
So with her showing up at NXT, could I see her entering the women's North American title scene? Yeah, I could. I mean, you got to start somewhere. Do I think that JC Jane is probably the transitional champion, and either it falling on Blake Monroe very quickly or it falling on Jordan Grace, and then Blake Monroe is chasing Jordan Grace. Yeah. I don't know.
I'm not 100% on board with Mariah May winning the women's championship right away, though. She needs to go more along the Ricky Starks path, right?
Right.
Get in.
Ricky
in the
got that
mid-card.
North American belt.
Exactly.
Right?
So did Ethan Page, right? Well, no, Ethan went to the world title. So I mean, there's precedence for both.
Precedence there.
That's frightening. Wow.
So we'll have to see how that. But also where I also see Blake Monroe kind of putting it out, I mean, there's a lot of women.
Wait, did you just say where you see Blake Monroe putting it out? Holy hell. I never go that far. I mean, God, pump the brakes.
We already getting canceled.
This is a family-friendly show. Pump
canceled,
the brakes. Holy hell.
But where I see her,
rephrase it better.
She also could wind up fighting some of the ladies down in AAA. Who knows if she has that lucha libre kind of style. We don't know. We've not seen her try that before.
No, nobody has range in AEW, so we don't know. We don't know the furthest level she could hit. But I think we're gonna find them.
Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see where it all goes, how it all unfolds. But I do believe she's gonna be Booker's new kind of.
Yeah, she's gonna be a fade for a while.
She's gonna be up there.
As long as she's getting the right TV time, I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about week in and week out.
Yep. Last thing we want to talk about on today's episode. Again, what's in the name? WWE, kind of as we know it, has been gone for a while, and I don't know if we've kind of just realized it right up until this whole R-Truth, Ron Killings type thing.
I think the WrestleMania change, I think just kind of the way things are being done now aren't what we're used to, right? And so I think what you're getting at is we're used to WWE running as a family-operated business where we take care of the old-timers, and we do everything the way the fans want. We cater to them and all that. And I think what we're finding out is that this TKO merger was a lot more than a merger. It was a takeover, right? Yep. It was at this point a coup, because now they're running things the way they ran UFC, the way they've ran other entities that they've absorbed, and we're not familiar with it. So I think, when you say what's in the name, I think we forgot about the stock that was in the WWE name and just kind of looked at wrestling. And I think now we're starting to realize that when it's just wrestling and it isn't quote unquote Vince McMahon led, which we don't, they can't say, but we can. But when it's not Vince McMahon led, some things change for the better, some things change for the worse.
So if I'm honest, let me get on my little platform for a minute and let me tell my truth for a minute. If I'm honest.
Hold on, let me step down because I'm literally on my soapbox right now. So go ahead.
If I'm honest, this whole branding on everything, is really starting to wear on me. I'm not the guy that goes, oh, that shouldn't be there. The ring is sacred. It shouldn't be. Look, I get it. Advertisements are going to be there. I get it. Look, I've watched UFC for years. Huge UFC fan. There's always been sponsors all around the mat in the UFC, across the top of the octagon. There's sponsors everywhere. Hell, Brock Lesnar had Jimmy John's as a sponsor on his damn shorts.
Yeah.
Look, I get it. Sponsors everywhere. Why has it got to be so blatantly obvious, though? Why do we have to talk about it? Why do we got to throw into it? Why do we have to have a freaking fireball ladder, a Slim Jim table? Why? Money. I get it. Yeah. Money. Cool. I got you. Money. But if you're that far in the damn hole, why'd you buy the company anyway?
Well, I mean, hey, sometimes you buy something with intentions of making money on it on the back end. So
True.
You have to hang in there long enough to get ROI. You want that return on investment. But let's just say perhaps they bought it for, what they buy it for, like $6 billion, I think it was.
True.
What's it worth now? I mean, after 2 marquee WrestleManias, what's it worth now? What would a guy like, let's say we just referenced Vince McMahon, have to do if he went to a group of, let's say, I don't know, Saudi investors and said, hey, you guys want to get in the wrestling business? What do you think, huh, pal? Before you know it, $15 million is on the table, and hey, now all of a sudden a conversation has had to happen. So
that kind of goes back to the initial podcast episode.
Back to our roots.
Where
we started at.
Look, I get this. I'm just gonna woosah, as Martin would say. Yeah. I'm gonna woosah over.
Just ride it out.
Ride it out. But
As Triple H told you, just watch the show.
Just watch the show. Uh-huh. But I swear to God, if I have John Cena walk out with that WWE champion, and instead of a WW in the middle of it, I got the McDonald's freaking golden arches. Cool. That will not be cool. I'm going to have the biggest fit over that.
So I'm sorry to break it to you. I don't know how much time we got left, but I got to break this breaking news to you because I've heard the rumors already. You probably haven't. I've heard the rumors, but at Saturday night's main event, the rumor is he's going to bring back the spinner title for one last match, right? He's going to either that or it may not be Saturday night's main event. It may be against Punk, right? But either way, supposedly the spinner title's coming back for that match because, that's a Cena and Punk staple. But the insiders, and I mean, this is deep inside, right?
They're going to change the logo in the middle?
No. So what they're going to do, there's just going to be a Snickers bar spinning in the middle instead of the W. That Snickers bar. So they're going to come out there and all of a sudden Snickers starts spinning around. And then when it stops, you'll see a little bubble pop up right over the title that says you're not yourself until you have and then they'll see the Snickers just stop right on the dime. And then they'll wander off to the ring and have the match. And then after the match, CM Punk will eat the Snickers in the back, whether he wins, loses, or draws. But that's deep inside now. So, I mean, don't let nobody else hear this, right? Like you can edit this out, right? Because, I mean, I don't want nobody to know I'm giving away secret insider.
So 2 things.
Okay.
First thing, I just threw up in my mouth a little bit.
Well, that's because you were thinking about that with that Vegas stuff. I told you not to do that stuff.
Second thing, pour me a little bit more of our sponsor, please.
We don't have enough time, sir. We don't have enough time to crack open.
Look, if that happens,
that's off camera.
If that happens, all hope is lost. Abandon ship, burn the bridges. It's just going down, it's going down in flames. And I hope Punk sets it all on fire and just burns it all down.
At this point now, he's the one defending the machine, so he'd probably be the one to snap it to the Slim Jim act.
Let's talk about something real quick. We've talked about TKO.
Hell, now you want to get serious. I'm too drunk for serious.
I do want to talk about something though, really quick.
All right, I need you to hurry up. The Cavassier is kicking in, and I want to go hit on some ladies.
How are we feeling about Punk actually going to Saudi? How are we feeling about that?
Hey, if Punk wants to win the title, he don't have a choice because Cena told him you got to chase him there. Yeah, he said you better chase me to Saudi or you get no shot.
But did you see the look on Punk's face?
Yeah.
Now look, we all know that this was probably planned months ago. Look, we get it.
Yeah.
But for storyline purposes, first thing I saw when he come out and had that chat with John, first thing he took the WWE logo off the mic.
Yeah, he tends to do that when he gets serious.
Anytime you see Punk do that, he's like, okay, cuffs are off. I'm about to say what I want to say.
Yeah.
However, I don't think he said what he wanted to say. I think he was kind of chained a little bit as to what he could have said.
Well, so unfortunately, Cena didn't really say much of anything. So we're not getting, and I mean, we haven't in this run from John. You know, he did the same thing with Cody. We're not getting a lot of the back and forth until we get right in the crux of it, right? So what we're waiting for, you know, as longtime fans, we see Cena and Punk in a ring together. We're like, oh my God, like, you know, turn the mics up. We turn the volume up. We turn our cell phones off because we know we're about to get some classic promo time. But we're not there yet. You know, you can't give it that. You can't give us your best shot at the very introduction of the match. You do that to sell us the tickets.
Here's what I want to see. Look, John. Look, the ticker's counting down. John can't show up every week.
Halfway
building.
there. Now.
Right.
We're 18. We got 18 shows left.
John can't show up every week building to this match. So here's what I want to see to build us to this match. I want to see Punk come out, sit his little cross-legged ass down on top of that ramp. Do a pseudo pipe bomb without it being a pipe bomb, but let him speak some truths. Let him speak about how he really feels about this whole Saudi and about chasing and about how he really don't want to go. I mean, look, everybody that has said, look, I don't want to go has eventually gone.
Yeah, everybody's going.
John eventually went.
Yeah.
KO,
paychecks are too big.
KO eventually went. Sammy eventually went.
Everybody's got their morals until that check writing starts.
But I don't think it's that. I think there might be a misconception. Now, granted, I'm never going to say anybody's wrong from whatever truth they feel like they're speaking. Mm-hmm. So if that's the way they believe, then that's what they believe, okay? But I believe in WWE's eyes, granted, a little bit of it is the money. But at the same time, they're looking at it at a more progressive way of going, look, we've had shows over here where women weren't allowed. We've had shows over here where women were allowed, but they had to be covered up in big old long, like nightgown T-shirts. Then we've had women over here where they could actually wear outfits. Now, but they're still being respectful, right? So I think along the lines, WWE is maybe pushing that culture over there to loosen up a little bit, change a little bit, but still being respectful about some things, right? Could you know, everybody, as they've loosened their stance and went over there, could that be the reason why? Or could Punk just say, look, I'm going to hell? In his mind, he don't want to go there, but I'm going to hell to save wrestling for you guys. I mean, could that kind of be where this is all going? I don't know. I'm interested in it, though. I'm very intrigued by the fact not only does Punk have to go to Saudi, but I'm intrigued by the fact that this isn't happening at like a Survivor Series or SummerSlam. This is Night of Champions that we're getting Punk versus Cena.
You got to give Saudi ROI too, right?
You do.
There's no way Saudi's paying the kind of money that they're paying to come over there and get the bullshit matches we used to get.
True.
They, in the beginning, I think it was great because I think they loved the guy. You know, in the beginning, they wanted Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior to wrestle. And it's like, well, neither one of them are persona non grata in WWE, and one of them ain't even alive. So, I mean, you know, they weren't really on top of it back then, but that was 6 years ago. I think at this point now that they've wisened up to the product and they kind of picked up what's actually happened in real time and not, you know, the recordings that they were seeing 400 years ago, I think now they're realizing, wait a minute, you know, this guy is on top. The people want to see Roman Reigns. They want to see John Cena. They want to see Cody Rhodes. Y'all are sending us 40 years too late HBK and Kane. Yeah, you know, after a while, you got to say, wait a minute, we're not on top of.
Ooh, that brought back a bad memory.
Yeah, exactly, right. But you know, they got to a point where they said, hey, wait a minute, we're shelling out an awful lot of money. And granted, we asked for this, but when we ask for the common guys, you know, the more current guys, you got to kind of fall in line with it, right? So that's one of those situations where you tell Punk, hey, whatever your, you know, morals are and all this other, gonna have to put that to the side because this is what they're wanting, and here's the amount that they're paying you for. But
he did say on his first show back, I ain't here to make friends.
Exactly.
I'm here to make money.
And that's why I said when you start talking about his morals and convictions and all that, everybody's got a price for the multi-million-dollar man and Ari Emanuel.
This is true. All right, everybody. So what's in the name? Apparently, a lot is in the name, apparently. But Drop us a line on our social media platforms. Let us know what you think about, the name changes that we've seen. R-Truth going to Ron Killings, Blake Monroe instead of Mariah May. Obviously, all the TKO business we talked, the fallout from Money in the Bank and Monday Night Raw. Let us know what you think about that. And as always, we thank you for listening to today's episode, and we bid you adieu.
Oh, one more week. What's up? Oh, and by the way, I ain't going to Saudi. I'm just letting you know.
Today's podcast was produced by SBP. You can find our podcast on all major podcast platforms. Also, connect with us on our social media accounts. Search for The Bookers Alliance on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X.